you did great in 2024. You had a great year this year. Hear me out. I will explain. We need to talk first about why everything we believe around year end and the beginning of the new year is wrong and unhealthy. Because we are living in generally stressful times, we have developed this collective habit when it's time to wrap up the year and really reflect on what this year has meant to us. We have really developed a habit of absolutely shitting on the year that just happened, just declaring that it was the worst year ever. Everything was absolutely terrible. Thank God this year is over, and we're so excited for this new upcoming year. Barreling into the new year with completely unjustified optimism, thinking it's going to be this great year, and that lasts for like 2 months before we give up and decide that this year is also terrible and we will try again next year. Do you know what I'm talking about? I feel like this started in 2016, or maybe that was just the first time I noticed it. Do you remember this? It became a meme. It was almost like a supernatural malaise had taken over everyone. And I remember at Christmas time, at the end of the year in 2016, everybody could not stop talking about how 2016 was the worst year ever. And it's crazy because think back on the last 8 years. Everything that has happened since then, girl, do you even remember what you were so upset about in 2016 that made it feel so awful? I don't. Everybody just decided that 2016 was the problem, as if the year itself had taken on a life of its own, and the way to solve the world's problems was to get rid of 2016 and bring on 2017, except that we did the same thing then in 2017 and 2018. The wheel has turned once again, and here we are talking about how 2024 was the worst year ever, and we are now just gonna hope and pray that 2025 is great, even though we have not done one thing to make it great. We're just hoping. By the way, if you had an awful 2024 and you are in fact just glad it is over, I just want to take a minute to say, I see you over there. I happen to think you're a fantastic person, and if you don't want to feel good right now, you don't have to. This is not like going to turn into a toxic positivity rant where I try to sit here and gaslight you into thinking that everything is actually great and you just have to see it a different way. I would never insult your intelligence that way. The world is kind of fucked up. There are reasons for the rise of hopelessness in our society. But if you have fallen into this habit of hating every single year, my question to you is this: how many more years of your life are you willing to write off as being bad years because the world did not meet your expectations? Because here's the thing with years, you only get a limited number of them. The problem with New Year's resolutions is not that we lack discipline or willpower. The problem is that we are relying on something that is completely artificial, external, and arbitrary to motivate us. It's arbitrary because the calendar year is a made-up thing. Real, true personal transformation has to be driven by something inside of us. The very best human being on YouTube, Garrett Watts, posted a video last week where he cleaned his bathroom. That doesn't sound great, but I promise you it actually is. It's on his second channel, Garrett Unhinged. You should absolutely go watch it, especially if you are a messy ADHD person. You will relate to everything in this video, including this thing he says at the very end.
Please tell me something you want to do in 2025. I want so many things. What do I want in 2025? I always want the same stuff because I always make the same mistakes. You know what I mean?
Is that not the most unfortunately relatable thing you have ever heard? I don't know about you all, but I am not feeling this lather, rinse, repeat vibe this year. I don't know exactly what it is, but something I cannot explain came over me about 7 months ago where suddenly I just really needed actual change in my life. I have had it with doing dumb things to make myself feel better for short periods of time, but then having nothing ever actually change. Like I've had it with dumb self-care routines that never actually help my anxiety. They just distract me for a little while. I promised we were going to get to the part where I told you why you actually had a great year. Here we go. It is my highest, best advice to you that in this life, as often as humanly possible, you should only give your energy to what is within your control. This will greatly simplify your life because the truth is almost nothing that happens is within your control. I mean that in the most positive way possible. You are not responsible for the entire world and you can't control almost any of it. But right now, I want you to think about, you know what? Go get a piece of paper. Write this down. We're going to write this down so we do not forget it. Pause the video. I'll wait. We're going to make a list. If you've ever watched me before, you know I am a really big believer in making lists to get things done. When you think about your year in review, as you will unavoidably do over the next couple of days, I want you to focus only on your W column for 2024. We are going to write down your wins for 2024 right now. And when I say your wins, I don't mean we're going to write a revisionist history of what happened. I don't mean we're going to deny that something sucked. And we are not going on some spiritual journey here to talk about how it was all part of some great plan. That is no shade to you if you believe in a higher power that has a plan. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. If you feel like you had a crummy 2024, and if you're still watching this, you probably do, your brain is tricking you into thinking that you didn't do anything right. And that is incorrect. I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm going to tell you my list, and hopefully you'll get the idea and you'll get inspired to start writing your own stuff. Okay, number 1, I made more money in 2024 than I have ever made in my life. I'm not going to say how much money I made because I don't want people to compare their income to my income one way or another. It wasn't like some mind-blowing amount of money, but I had a better year than I've ever had financially. The bad voice in my head wants to discount that because I don't make a ton of money. I am a good bit below the median income for a person of my education who lives in my area. I also am the sole financial provider for 2 children. I am at a point in my life where it is not cute to be a little underemployed. And the bad voice in my head wants to just entirely disregard this really cool accomplishment by saying it isn't enough. Because isn't that just what that voice always does? Whenever you have a win, there is a voice in your head that will tell you it isn't really a win because it isn't enough, because you didn't get 100%, because you didn't go all the way there. And that is the voice we have to combat. That is what we have to stop doing to ourselves. Like the voice in my head says, it wouldn't impress anybody. No, I'm saying no. That's a win. I literally made more money than I've ever made in my life this year. And I'm sitting here beating myself up, finding ways to think that it isn't good enough. Isn't that some bullshit? Do you do that to yourself? I also got my mental health together this year in a way I never have before. And I did it without therapy because I couldn't really afford it. I meditated, I went for walks, I reached out to friends, I journaled, I made lists, I made new habits, I improved my diet, I did everything I could. All that stuff you're supposed to do. I listened to podcasts. I implemented all these new tricks and techniques and habits about trying to help my ADHD so I could remember things and focus on things better. I'm so proud of that. Are you starting to see what we're doing here? Are you starting to get the idea? Are you writing things down yet? Start writing things down. I'm going to keep going. I paid off my credit cards and I stayed within my budget this year. That was really hard. I cut off all my emotional spending. I never spent a lot of money because I never had a lot of money, but I did have some emotional spending habits like, ordering Uber Eats because I was feeling sorry for myself, things like that, and just not paying attention to what I was buying in the grocery store, or horrible ADHD problems where I would buy something I needed and then I would forget that I bought it and buy it again, or I would lose it or break it because I stepped on it, left it laying on my floor or something. Stupid things. And I'm going to go into 2025 almost entirely debt-free. I'm proud of that. Next one, my YouTube channel. I posted 59 videos this year. Most of them are awful. If you ever sit and watch me and think to yourself, do they know that this is really bad? Yes, I do. But I kept doing it anyway. I am proud of that. I knew I was not making great videos, but I also knew that my videos could never improve if I did not practice. So I kept doing it even though it was stressful and frustrating and, frankly, embarrassing. What did you accomplish in 2024? Or just what good thing happened to you? Leave a comment down below if you feel okay talking about it, and let us know what you accomplished or what you feel great about from this past year. It does not have to be an accomplishment that the rest of the world would recognize as an accomplishment. Like, no one else would look at my YouTube channel and be impressed. I don't have a ton of subscribers. I don't have 1 million views on a video. I don't make a bunch of money doing this. But I'm proud of it because I know what I put into it and I see the value. You have to go through whatever you go through. And what is easy for someone else may not be easy for you. I know I have a really big neurodivergent audience. A lot of people who watch me are autistic or ADHD, or you're depressed, or you struggle with other mental health issues. Maybe just getting out of bed is really hard for you, but you did it every day this year. That's something to be proud of. And I'm sorry that you have to live in a world where people believe that if something is easy for them, then it must be easy for everybody else too. And if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, you're just choosing not to do it. Fuck that. Can we discontinue that narrative? Can that be our collective resolution for 2025, that we are no longer going to shame people because of their neurodivergence or their mental health? Okay? Can we agree on that? I know when we write down the small accomplishments and things that we've been kind of like shamed for our whole lives and things that we feel so behind in, we just look at them and they feel pathetic. When you're in a bad place mentally, progress becomes your enemy in a way. A little bit of progress feels like it's not enough. I'm going to talk more about that in the next video. For some people, it's dark to talk about, but that's why we should talk about it. Sometimes, for some people, just staying around is hard. I know what that's like. If just literally being alive and still being here has been a challenge for you, be proud that you're still here at the end of 2024. This is my favorite painting that I've ever painted in my life. No kidding. What a nice way to end the year. This is the last one. Do you have New Year's resolutions? Do you do that? My only New Year's resolution this year is that in 2025, I am not going to buy a calendar. I'm not doing it again. I'm not going to waste my money purchasing a calendar that I will never use. I'm not doing it. So I hope you found this a little bit helpful, and I hope you have a fantastic new year. I will see all of you in 2025. That part of New Year's is cool. It's like you get to be like, next time I see you, it's going to be a whole new year, and it feels really cool and exciting, even though it's literally just going to be like a week from now, like it always is. You guys are awesome. I love you being here. It's probably been the best thing that happened to me all year long. Just engaging with people in the comments and reading and hearing people's stories about their own neurodivergence or whatever it is we're talking about that week. And thank you so much for making this a really great year for me on YouTube by no one's standards except my own. I hope you know that you are awesome, and I hope you are proud of everything you did this year. And if you don't feel that way, that's okay too. I'm still gonna see you next week.